What's up, everybody in Chiefs Kingdom? Another episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10 with JP and Caleb. What's up, bro?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good after today. I'm really good. The two perennial teams lost, and
hmm
uh, and they lost to bad football teams. One of them lost to a backup, and I, I couldn't be happier right now. We're 2-0. Is there anybody else in the AFC that's undefeated right now? Oh, Miami
Um,
is actually weirdly enough.
Miami. I think it's the Chiefs and Miami are the only two teams I can think of right now off the top of my head that are undefeated. Everyone else is either 0-2 or 1-1.
Yeah, so I'm happy with that turnaround right now. We're a new football team with new players. Everybody thought we were going to miss Tyreek. We didn't. Hey, Tyreek had a good game today. He had a bunch of
190 yards, two touchdowns.
two
They were basically
touchdowns.
basically him and Waddle running four verts on the Ravens defense, just running deep.
Yeah,
And they're the Ravens. I'm telling you right now, the Ravens. Lamar's leaving after this year. He proved he
I
can
have no
play.
doubt. Yeah, I have no
He
doubt.
is going to a team that will pay him.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of have
His
a couple
defense is
teams in
so good too.
mind. I'm not going to say who, but I said if the Ravens don't give him the bag, he's going to go to a team that can actually help adequate him because the Ravens defense isn't what they used to be,
No.
and he's doing what he can do with the weapons he has. So, he may slow down, but I to say he has come out on fire. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sad that they have really kind of crapped on him. If you really think about it,
hmm
they released players without him, being involved, and he still hasn't been paid.
hmm
It just kind of is what it is, but we'll have to see how that turns out. But I don't think he's going to be there either. In fact, we talked about this on prior shows, and I think both of us agreed that he probably wouldn't be there next year.
Oh yeah, I don't know where I have a speculation. But I have a feeling he probably will go somewhere who really needs him and who actually has like a defense that can help.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
some weapons. I mean, he
yeah.
needs some weapons. And you saw what he was able to do it. Not the best group of players, but I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen. So, I mean, because they were up 35-14 the fourth quarter. He got them down there to where they got the field goal, and then kind of after that, I mean, they just struggled. I
Yeah,
didn't get to really see all the game because it's out of market, but from what I got to see, basically kind of the defense collapsed,
it
and
did.
that's not good.
It did. It completely collapsed. Um, there was a lot of short intermittent passes that went to Tyreek and a couple of decent, 20, 22-yard passes that went to him. Tua doesn't have the arm to reach him like Mahomes does, but he's going to get his stats like we talked about in those short little inadvertent
hmm
routes. Now, he's never going to have a 200-yard quarter like he had in Kansas City, but he's going to have 190-yard games.
hmm
So that's okay. I mean, as long as he's happy, it's all that matters. They're not a Super Bowl team yet. They haven't played anybody to say, okay, this team is a perennial Super Bowl team because
hmm
look who they played for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I
So
think they could make the playoffs now. I don't know how far they go in the playoffs, but the Dolphins could be that team that maybe can try to beat someone. I mean, they got a pretty decent defense, so
they
it'll be
do.
interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah. And I was telling one of our writers today, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Bills. If they come out on top and they may, I don't know. It's hard to bet against Belichick
hmm
in the long run, but and as far as New England's concerned, they need to find an answer for Mac Jones because he's not it. Not right now anyway. So
I mean, he did pretty decent today.
he did okay, but again, he's not that. I don't know. I guess he's not that quarterback you want to put everything into if you're trying to make a Super Bowl run.
I see what you're saying.
He's averaging like 14 or 15 points a game. It's kind of a weird number. His passing percentage isn't that great. Today was better than normal, but they played, and weirdly enough, they did play the Steelers, which is a pretty strong defense, but no
hmm
offense. They should have. I don't know why pick, and I don't know if I didn't watch that game, so I don't know if they did or did not put Pickett in. But after losing today, they probably will.
Yeah, I refused to watch it because it's pretty boring. But from what I saw was that not having TJ Watt really hurt them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
know they did what they could do for the most part, but the quarterback play is not good on either
No,
side, specifically with the Steelers. So
yeah.
they're probably gonna move on and put in Pickett. I feel like you kind of need to probably in a couple weeks is when the move will officially happen, depending on what happens next week.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, The Raiders are going to Raider. They,
Mm-hmm.
they raided themselves out of another win. So,
Yep. They
Derek
blew a
Carr,
20-point lead.
yeah, Derek Carr went crying somewhere. Um, I'm sure he's all teared up, but and I'm sure his brother's patting him on the back right now, giving him hugs. But it is what it is. They they don't have a secondary. They don't really have much of anything when it comes to. They got a little bit on defense, but nothing major. They got bits and pieces, but nothing
Mm-hmm.
that's
Not like the
solid.
Chargers, who
Not like the
completely
Chargers.
retooled their defense.
Correct. And they have no continuity. And when you got one wide receiver that you're going to try and target every single play, you're going to get exposed. Similar
Mm.
to a segue, we can just segue right into the Bengals game
Mm-hmm.
when you got Chase that got one reception today. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he only got one target, but that could be wrong. But I know he only had one reception. He uh, he did not play well. Um, in fact, let's see. I'll pull this. I mean, it was really basically the Bengals punt, punt, end to half, field goal, punt. Then they got a touchdown, tied it up,
Mm.
and then a punt, and Dallas scored a field goal and won the game.
Huh.
So in
Well, you would
overtime.
think that they were supposed to be a phenomenal team. They're really having that Super Bowl hangover we see most teams have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you an interesting stat. They went out and they really retooled their offensive line, as they said, and he's the highest sacked quarterback in the league right now.
Exactly. Like I don't know why they're still at that point. That is concerning. If you
Yeah,
retool the offensive line, put all that money into it, and they're still not doing anything after 2 weeks, that is pretty terrible.
yeah.
The
Uh,
Cowboys should have no business winning that game.
no, especially with the backup quarterback that really, honestly, there is definitely
He
a quarterback
outplayed
controversy.
Burrow.
Oh, he outplayed Dak. I mean, when you really think about it, there's a controversy going on in Dallas right now. I think, in
You
my
think
opinion,
so?
I do, because Dak can't stay uninjured, and this kid came out both times he's played. Now he's 2-0 with with the Cowboys right now.
Mm.
So I mean, eh, I just feel like he's just coming into his own, and I think they made a big mistake giving Dak that contract, similar to the mistake they made with giving Zeke that contract that they
Oh
gave him.
yeah.
I mean, he didn't do much of nothing today either. He got a couple of first downs, but all of his runs were 1 and 2 yards, three
I'm
yards max.
surprised Zeke has not just been traded at this point.
They're buried. Nobody will take him. Not with that contract.
I mean, you might as well just cut him and eat the money, in my
Yeah, Jerry's going
opinion.
to have to write a fat check out of his own pocket and put it back in the cap, because it's not like he hasn't done it
It's
before. But
hmm
um, it's they're they're just, I don't know, man. I think Pollard's a better running back right now. This between, if you look at Zeke and Pollard, I think Pollard's better.
I
So
think they're two different. They have two different styles, but not. I see what you're saying.
yeah, Zeke's just that old school up the middle. Let me pound somebody down, and he doesn't have that strength anymore.
Oh yeah, after a while, you're gonna be hurting.
Yep. So, but it was an interesting day of football. I don't know what the score is right now. I was kind of interested to see.
I think the Packers are winning 17-7.
They are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did make Aaron Rodgers made that comment that he owns Chicago. So,
Yeah, they're doing it. I mean, now the Bears could come back. They got a decent defense, so something could happen. But I mean, I don't really know.
yeah, I don't either. That's that's out of my realm of, well, I guess not out of my realm, but there's so many things that are out of the realm of possibility with those two football teams.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers has got a bunch of rookies on his team. I will say that Watkins stepped up and made a couple of
Mm-hmm.
decent catches over the middle.
He grew his dreads back.
Drew his dreads back.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even know it was him until they called his name out, to be
Yeah, I
honest
like,
with
hold on. How did he get his dreads to go back that quick? But I mean, I guess his hair goes that quick,
you.
fast. So,
He could have had him added to, who knows, but um it just, Rodgers is, I know he's frustrated. I would be too, but again, I think that was somewhat by design, in my
mm-hmm.
opinion. They just kind of wanted to put the hurt on him a little bit, since he gave them so much flack. Yeah, we're going to offer you all this money, and then we're going to give you nothing to roll with.
Mm,
And that's kind of what it looks like they've done.
yeah,
A
I see
lot
what
of
you're saying.
vindictive things. But in the AFC, let's just get back to that. Right now, the Raiders are 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos are 1-1. barely 1-1, and the Chargers are 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see let's see the AFC standings. What do you? I don't know if you have
The
looked them
Dolphins
up.
are 2-0. The Bills are 1-0 right now. They're gonna play tomorrow.
Yep,
The Patriots are 1-1. Who else do we got? Um, I think it's right now. It's the Chiefs and the Dolphins are at top.
we are. It's Chiefs and Dolphins 2-0, 2-0. Then you got the Bills at 1-0, Jets 1-1, Patriots 1-1, um, Chargers 1-1, Broncos 1-1, Raiders of course 0-2. Steelers are 1-1, Ravens 1-1, Browns are 1-1. Hey, the Bengals 0-2. Who would have
Mm,
thought? Who would have thought?
yeah, I thought they were supposed to be the next powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean the Jaguars are 1-1, so tells you
The
something.
Jaguars looked pretty good. They shut out the Colts.
Yeah, Colts are 0-1, 0-1-1, I should say. Texans 0-1-1, and the Titans are 0-1-0 right now. So, I don't know, man. Everybody was so worried about building up a team to beat us that they kind of beat themselves, I think, in a lot of ways.
I would
So
agree with that. I would agree with that.
the Raiders did look terrible today, though. I mean, they did
They
not.
look good, but once they just I don't know if they took the gas off the pedal, but they just struggled. They weren't able to kind of figure it out.
They
And
just, I
you
think they're
can't blow a
figured.
20-point lead. You can't do that.
No,
You can't.
no. And
So
I
it's
think
on
they've been
them.
figured out. I think they've kind of been figured out. You can't just target one guy. I mean,
Well, I
and
mean, they
that's
got some other guys like Waller and then Renfro, but then if the defense can't hold up,
yeah.
then you're not in a good spot at all.
Renfro didn't have a great day.
No,
Waller
he
had,
fumbled twice on that last drive, and then
yeah,
he let that fumble out for the touchdown.
yeah,
Now, I will say the Panthers were going after him. Means the Panthers, the Cardinals are going after him. So
yeah.
those are going
But
to happen, but it's kind of like, well, I mean, you got to hold on to the ball.
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a couple of fumbles on the Cardinals as well, but one was I think would have sealed the deal for them
Mm-hmm.
if they would have kept that ball in their hands. But uh, like I said, I was talking to a writer and I said I think this goes into overtime. Murray's going to go down and score, and he did, and it just ended up being what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of glad to see that happen. Um, it was nice to see the look on Carr's face and all the big accolades and the talk and all this stuff about having Josh and this
Mm-hmm.
new team that they're supposedly going to have, and how they just and I'm listening to it all the time like I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Gets a little old. The Raiders this, the Raiders that. They're going to bounce back. Josh McDaniels went from I love my guys. I love the grit they put in. We're one of the better teams, the unsung better teams in the NFL, and now they're 0-2. And
Well,
his
I still think the Raiders have talent. They have a lot of stuff they need to work on, though.
yeah,
They
they
have some
do.
talent, but you have no business blowing a 20-point lead. You can't do that.
No, not against that football team. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm sorry, but we annihilated that football team. So I don't know, man. To me, it's just is what it is. But stats are not going to lie unless you look at PFF. Stats don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think. Oh, somebody had mentioned, about the six touchdown game that Tua had. Hey, congratulations to the guy. He had 6 touchdowns today. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if he had any interceptions or not. I'd have to
He
look.
had two.
Okay, so he had 2 interceptions. Again, we have to see how they finish. How they look week 8. This is the second week of the season. They
Mm-hmm.
haven't really played anybody. Like you said, the Ravens defense isn't that great right now, and the Ravens always struggled against Tyreek Hill anyway, even whether it would be short dump off passes or
He
him
just
getting out.
exposes them.
He does. So it's going to be interesting. I think Waddle is probably very underrated in the NFL.
Oh,
Um,
Waddle did really well.
yeah, he did extremely well. I think they're going to be a little bit of a powerhouse. I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to wait until week 8 to see how they turn out. But you never know. They may be that team in that division that decides that
Mhm.
we're just going to beat everybody.
They could. I don't. The Chiefs don't play them this year. Um,
No.
It'll be interesting to kind of see how their schedule and everything works out with them. So I
Yeah.
still think they're gonna run into some issues. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Well, like we had talked about, it's strange looking at like the Chargers moving forward for the first 8 games versus us. We have the toughest first 8 games on paper,
Mm-hmm.
other than Arizona, the toughest first 8 games. Everybody's a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers don't have that. So it's a little weaker schedule for the first 8 than we have.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, I agree.
yeah, so it's I guess that may be good for Herbert given the fact that he's injured, and looking at Staley, he probably just play him anyway, like he did during our game, which I think was a
I think
mistake.
he didn't. I think he didn't want to come out.
Well, yeah, but you got to be a coach and say, look, if you're in this much
Yeah,
pain, you got to come out. There's something really wrong.
I agree.
And to have cartilage a cartilage fracture is not fun. Um, you might as well just it feels just as bad as tearing or breaking a rib.
Mm.
So if he doesn't, Staley had made mention of him thinks he'll be ready by next week. I think that's a huge mistake unless they wrap him really well and they hope and pray nobody puts the nails to him, because if they hit him kind of like Dana and Clark did, he's going to
He's gonna
feel
be
every bit of
curtain.
it. Yep. So Staley's can't be greedy. That's for sure. He cannot be greedy.
Mm-hmm. No, I
Um,
agree.
it's similar to what I guess I kind of look at it, and maybe you can put some emphasis on this, because I look at it as a depth chart situation and who you have as your backups. And if you don't have depth that can fill shoes, then that's your fault. You don't hurt your
Uh-huh.
player because of it. You know what I'm getting at?
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You just don't hurt your franchise quarterback and put him in a worse position because you didn't bring in the right talent,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
You got to have good backups. If you don't have that, then you're gonna be in a not a good spot.
No, no, not at all. And I don't think they have, I don't know who is their
They have
backup.
Chase Daniels, but I
Oh,
don't
they
know
got
what he
Chase.
can. I
Yeah.
don't know what he can do.
Well, he's a career backup. So, I mean, kind of is what it is, a 13-year backup. So I don't know. I mean, he may be able to step in and do something for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know who they play next week, but uh, right now it's looking like the Chiefs are just making forward strides, and they're learning from their mistakes. And I did get a little bit of information about what went on during this Thursday
Mm.
night game, and it was Bieniemy that called the first half plays.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that wasn't good
no,
because they should have not had that. They should not have had those offensive issues in the
no,
first half.
no,
The play calling was not good. I'm sorry, it just wasn't.
no, it wasn't. And he really wasn't put in a position, Mahomes, to make a call on his own. From what I understand, it's in his contract now that he has 100% um, audible rights. But if you're not in a position to call that audible, then it's really not going to do any good if the formation's wrong or you don't have
Mm.
the right players on the field.
No.
So calling an audible won't do you much good if you don't have the players out there to, you know, contribute. So I don't know. Andy took over in the second half, and everything was basically Andy making the calls to the headset, and
Mm-hmm.
Eric was basically reciting it word for word, and they came out
Mm.
and played better. So
Yeah, I mean the offense was more open. They weren't just stuck in one way of doing things.
exactly.
So.
So um, hopefully we'll see what happens this week coming up, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's going to play out. If it's going to continue this way, it's a per game situation. So he basically has a certain amount of calls he can call, each game.
Mm.
Um, from what I understand, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's very smart, but um, so let's see. We got the Colts,
Mm-hmm.
and we got the Bucs.
Yep.
Um, then the Raiders at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Bills at home.
Yep.
Then we got the 49ers away. And we got the Titans at home. The Jaguars at home. So looking at these 8 games, do you see anybody that can beat us right now that has played?
Mm. The game that worries me the most would be the Bills game.
Yeah.
I think they can beat the Colts if they execute. I really believe they can beat the Buccaneers, but they're gonna have to play probably one of their better games. This is Tom Brady. You're gonna have to prepare for everything.
Yeah.
If they lose
They,
that game, I'm not gonna complain because that's the NFC game. It's not gonna worry about the standings. But the thing I'm more worried about would be the Bills game.
yeah. Yeah, I
And the
agree with
reason
you.
why I say that is because we've seen in the past where it's been coming down to issues where the Chiefs' defense sometimes just disappears. And I hope that's not the case this year, but we've seen in the past they kind of sometimes have disappeared, and that's not good. If your
No.
team disappears, you're not going to be able to do anything.
I don't know about you, but I would feel almost better if we were playing on the road against them versus home.
Yeah, I don't know why are the Chiefs always have problems on the in their home stadium. I don't understand why. It's just really weird.
I don't know either. I don't know if it's trying too hard to please the fans or if it's maybe being way too much, having too much comfortability. I don't know what it is, but they seem to struggle at home, especially against divisional teams. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, Mahomes again hasn't lost on the road to an AFC team. So, from what is that right? Is that what his record
To
is?
an AFC West opponent.
West opponent. So, um, I just think he just played. They play better on the road. I don't know why that is, but they do, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially against tougher teams. I don't know that that's going to make that much of a difference. We do, and one thing I will say is that we do have a different defense this year, and I think they have realized who they need to have on the field a little bit longer in situations
Mm-hmm.
like a Carlos Dunlap that just played out of his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Karloftis that plays out of his shoes. Move Chris Jones like they did. You know, if he's getting doubled up and he can't get through, move him over a step.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let him get in front of that left guard and take him down.
Exactly.
So, so that's kind of what they did with him, and it worked out for him. He got a sack, and it's weird how he is like second in the NFL to Aaron Donald.
But it seems like it doesn't seem like that half the time. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, but he is second behind Eric Donald in pretty much every stat. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's going to be this is good. Like we talked about prior, this is going to be one hell of an interesting season, just
Mm-hmm.
because of everything that everybody else has done to try to beat us.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it looks like everything they have done is almost kind of blown up in their face to a degree.
Yeah, well, I've been looking at this as a whole, and it's like none of the NFC. I'm looking at, and I could be wrong, but none of the NFC teams look like they can compete with any of the AFC teams.
No,
Like it goes
no,
to the Super Bowl. I mean, I really don't know who's going to win. I think the AFC could win the Super Bowl no matter who it's going to be.
yeah,
I still think the Chiefs could possibly make the Super Bowl, but the NFC just not looking that strong. I mean, you saw with the 49ers, Trey Lance has broken his ankle. He's out for the season.
yeah.
Garoppolo's their quarterback now. I mean, Seahawks don't look the best. The Rams are okay. The Cardinals are pretty good. The Packers are not bad.
With their loadable
Buccaneers are
rookies,
probably going to be the team that somehow gets through the way it looks like. So I mean, there's a lot of different options at this point.
I agree with you. I mean, it's sad, but the Bucs, their defense today looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not necessarily in the beginning, and that's funny because that's the first time Brady has beaten the Saints since he's been a Buck.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, besides the playoff game,
yeah, besides the playoff game, but regular
well,
season he
regular
was 0
season
4.
game.
Yeah, he was 0
Mm-hmm.
4. So, and he barely beat him. If it wasn't for his defense, he wouldn't have beat him. I mean, it's just that simple. He would not have beat him if it wasn't for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it always goes back to what we say about Brady. And you know, as long as he's got that top 5, top 10 defense, he's always going to look like a star.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not wrong there. When the way the season looks at it too, is that it just with Brady, you got to prepare for anything because bad calls, just a lot of bad things. I mean, today he was literally instigating that fight, and they went to fight for him. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
He
while
was
he stayed back,
he
running his
literally
mouth.
he instigated that fight, but you know that he's gonna have to deal with that. So to me, it makes no sense. But I don't know. The Saints they need a quarterback if they want to go do good, and they're gonna have to maybe trade up next year's draft for something because Jameis doesn't look like this. He's gonna be it.
No, no, he's going back to his old self. I mean, you know, he's going back to throwing pick after pick after pick. If he gets under pressure, if he gets behind, he doesn't know how to control it, and he just starts throwing picks. And
Mm,
you can't play a decent defense and be as reckless as he was being, trying to thread a needle the way he was trying. It just
was
didn't work out.
struggling.
It's struggling for him. He gets very rattled very easily. So that's been his MO his entire career. I mean, he's the guy with 30 picks in a season. So, it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, but it's going to be interesting because we could see who if they decide to make a switch up there. They had him and was it Drew Lock? I think it was. It was competing for
Gino and Drew Lock in Seattle.
Yeah. So who's the backup in the Saints right now?
Ooh, I think it's a guy named Ian Book, but I'm not for sure. And he was there last year.
Okay.
But really, they don't really have a
Not
good
Drew
starter.
Lock. I'm thinking of the other kid, Josh Rosen.
I don't think he's there, is he?
I thought he was. Let me look.
Okay, I could be wrong.
I may be wrong too, but I thought Josh Rosen was playing for them. If I remember right, there was a little bit of a quarterback battle going on between Winston and somebody.
Because of his knee, his ACL, they didn't know if he would be able to come back and play.
Yeah. I want to see who. Let's see who it is. I don't remember now. I don't keep up with them very much. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. It was Marcus Mariota.
He's with the Falcons.
He's with the Falcons now. So who is it? Who is their backup, man?
I mean, they probably can't do any better than Jameis. I'm not really sure what.
Oh, it's Andy Dalton.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
I don't know what he could do at this point.
I don't either. I didn't realize he was their backup. I could have swore that their third string. I could have swore Josh Rosen was there, but I don't know why I thought he was there. I don't know what to see. I mean, Winston keeps throwing picks after pick. You might see Dalton in there. Who knows?
It might have to do something.
Yeah. So, and how old is Winston now? He's got to be.
He has to be in his 30s.
Yeah, or like early 30s, somewhere around there. So, it's just interesting to see how everybody that they assume is going to be great can really
kind of popped off and hasn't really done much.
Hasn't done much. And something about Brady really quick. He has said probably 8 to 10 times now about his age and about how his arm doesn't feel the same anymore. And I think he's kind of just leading up to the fact that, okay, I'm saying this now because if we don't make the playoffs or we don't win a Super Bowl, then there's the reason why. It's my age and I played a year too long. Or if he decides to hang it up early, halfway through the season, which I really can't see him doing. He's just got too much pride and arrogance for that. But then that would be a reason too. But I've never heard him say that at all, really. And then now he is saying it so much.
Well, the way it's go ahead. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying last week he went off on his offensive line in the huddle like 5 times because he got hit twice. He got sacked twice and was like knocked down so many times. And then this week he just was throwing tablets again.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It just seems like to me that maybe he's finally feeling it between.
He might be
with his wife. Maybe he's finally feeling it.
Well, the way I'm looking at it too, the way it looks like the Buccaneers are probably gonna win the division and they might make it a Super Bowl. They're the only team I can see that could get it together.
Yeah.
The way it's looking like to me, I could be wrong, but the way it's looking like, that's what it seems. Because at this point, I don't even know who other team could rival them. The Packers maybe, but Aaron Rodgers really hasn't done much. So
yeah, he didn't.
That's just my opinion. I could be wrong too.
And you're right. I mean, they don't have a whole lot to do much with. I mean, the Packers. He's got a bunch of rookies on that team, a lot of injured players, so guys out for the season. It just, and the Bucs are in the same position. They've got a lot of guys out for the season, so it's going to be interesting now that Jimmy G is back in San Francisco. We'll have to see how that goes.
They might be able to do something. They won 24-7.
Yeah,
I think or something like that. So they might be able to do something out there.
Yeah. So I mean, if I had to put an NFC team on it, I would almost say, there's only 3 really, and it would be the Bucs, the Rams, and San Francisco. And I think San Francisco's really kind of probably better than the Rams right now. You know, I mean, as far as all around team, I don't know what happened to the Rams, but they just don't look the same. They look like they're, like you said, maybe they're having the Super Bowl regression. You know, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is, the jet lag, but
It's possible
yeah,
the way it's looking.
yeah. But we're as far as the Chiefs are concerned, everybody's looking really good. People have stopped slamming Watson, um, and saying negative things about him, which was
Hmm.
very strange that they worded anyway. Um, Kid's a rookie, and they were just giving him all kinds of hell during that game last week. And it's like, dude, you're got to realize you know, who he is, and he's a rookie, and also he did return one for 99.5 yards. So,
Hmm.
and I think that's a rookie record, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to
Hmm.
look, but I think that was a rookie record. Um, and they were playing a hell of a football team. I mean, no matter how you look at it, the Chargers have a great defense. They got
Oh, they're a lot better defensively than what they were from years prior. I'll
yeah,
give that to them.
yeah, and their offense is not bad. I mean, I think if uh, what's their wide receiver, the one that was out, why his name's slipping my mind. He didn't play. Um, who's their wide receiver? Their star wide receiver. I can't think of his name right now.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Yeah, if he would have been playing, I mean, we don't know how that game would have turned out, but
Hmm.
I know one thing. They learned something with Fenton last week. The Chiefs did. Don't put him on great big guys.
You need to let him be in the slot.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
slot corner. He's not an outside press corner. He's just not. I mean, he's too small. And when he's up against somebody that's 6 foot or bigger, he holds, he grabs, he pulls, he does whatever he
Hmm.
can do.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're
one
not
of the
wrong at all.
one of the controversy things. What's your opinion on this Bosa thing, saying that he um, launched himself after he was pulled a little bit? He launched. I looked at the play over and over on all 22, and it did kind of look like he when he like took advantage of being pulled that direction and kind of launched himself towards Mahomes. What do you think about that?
Do I think he did it intentionally?
Like, yeah, do you think he actually launched himself a little bit harder than?
Nothing would surprise me. No,
Yeah,
I think it's very possible he did try. As a football player, you're gonna want to try to knock out the other team's quarterback, and fortunately, that's what they try to do. I mean, we see what happened with Mahomes all the time. He gets hit a bunch.
yeah,
When you look at the cheat when Mike Dana hit, when he ended up hitting Herbert, you saw him knock him out. That was a football play. So we see sometimes those things are going to happen. And I think it should have been a penalty, to be honest with you, kind of the way the inconsistency of the quarterbacks being hit, depending on who the quarterback gets hit, needs to be more specified because we see certain guys get hit and there's a penalty, and certain guys don't get, sorry, certain guys do get hit and it's not a penalty. So I feel like either way you go back and forth, there needs to be a consistency. Cam Newton said a few years ago that he was like, "Oh, ref, I got hit," and the ref literally told him, "You're not old enough to get that call." So there is that kind of
yeah. That's
there's no
stigma.
consistency with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a bias when it comes to that stuff, and it needs to. I mean, I mean, look how many times Mahomes gets hit out of bounds, low hits, below the knees,
Mm-hmm.
late hits, whatever the case is, and they never get called. You know, it never gets called. And you hear
Mm-hmm.
these Charger fans saying, and Charger, even their accounts saying, well, you know, that wasn't a penalty. It was a great hit. You know, the one on Kelsey, and Bosa didn't do it on purpose. Bosa is so frustrated right now with Mahomes himself that he cannot really catch him and chase him down. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do it on purpose, because the frustration level, you can see it on his face if you can
Mm-hmm.
get past that nose, and he's just mad. He's mad all the way around, you
Yeah,
know.
he has always had a difficult time against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Actually, they do a pretty good job of scheming for him. Now, I will say the Chiefs' offensive line kind of struggled, and that wasn't good when we first looked at it because they should have did a little bit better of a job protecting Mahomes as a whole.
yeah, I agree. Um, Although, you know, somebody said something about Orlando Brown, and I think he only allowed a couple of pressures.
I
Um,
thought he allowed a sack, but I'm not. I could be wrong.
I thought that was Wiley that allowed the sack, but
I think you're right.
yeah. But Orlando Brown didn't. He actually played fairly well.
Hmm.
Uh, I think, you know, there's a couple of times when I see our center kind of jump out a little too quick, and he
Hmm.
kind of gets lost in translation. and he
Mm-hmm.
needs to just kind of slow that down a little bit and keep an eye on his guy instead of running downfield sometimes. But uh, all in all, I mean, Mahomes is I there was 2 or 3 plays where he had anywhere from 8 to 14 seconds
Mm-hmm.
in the backfield. So do you remember before? I mean, if he was lucky to get 3
Mm-hmm.
before he had to run for his life. So
Exactly.
when you can stand back there for that kind of time and make some macaroni and cheese, you're doing okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I would say there were turn times was better. I mean, he does a good job of kind of using his athleticism and can throw the ball certain ways, and that's good because of that, they're able to score crucial touchdowns that were necessary to win the game. And when you have that, it's better for the team as a whole.
Yeah, that uh, that slider he threw was phenomenal.
It was one of the best passes I've seen him throw, I feel like.
Yeah,
That was like I don't know, it's like a baseball throw,
it
kind
was
of.
a
I mean, the way he
slider.
threw it.
Yeah, it was just a slider. I mean, I don't know how he does it with a football. I'm still just astonished at the fact that he can throw a football the way he does and put such movement on the ball, similar to a baseball. And it just freaks me out. I mean, when you see somebody that can make a ball go under a defender's arm and then come back up and hit somebody in the numbers, that's kind of scary. No matter
Exactly.
how you look at it. I mean, it's just crazy to think that he's that good. Um, Somebody did a poll outside of Chiefs Kingdom. It was actually a website poll,
Okay.
and I'm trying to remember who it was right now. It was a fairly large site, but they did a poll, and Mahomes was rated the most athletic and the best quarterback in football.
Hmm.
So, and that was by every fan. That wasn't just by Chiefs fans.
Okay.
That was from every fan outlet. News media guys jumped
Mm-hmm.
into that. They said there's nobody out there that is more dangerous than Mahomes when he's got the ball in his hands.
That's
So
fair, because every time he has the ball in his hands, anything can happen.
yeah. So when you got that kind of notoriety,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it pisses a lot of guys off. But in the same aspect, you know, at least they were truthful about it.
That's true, yeah. They were being
So
truthful.
yeah.
Did you see that thing when it was talking about the adjusted score, this PFF guy? Because he said that fumble, I mean, that interception that Mahomes threw that hit the ground. They're like, oh, that actually should have counted. Did you see that?
Yeah. So
They were
yeah.
like, adjusted score. I'm like, adjusted score? It's either you win or you lose. There's no such thing as an adjusted score.
Yeah. I don't know
It was
what
really
they're doing.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know
I was
what
like,
they're
bro,
doing.
come on.
I think he's
And,
just clickbaiting the hell out of this right
and
now.
then Mahomes during his press conferences, I'm pretty sure PFF doesn't like this, but I don't care. Basically, he's like, I'm here to win. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he sees it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Those guys see everything, and that ball hit the ground. Period. End of story. The ball hit the ground.
It did.
So they can say what they want. Supposedly he had 5 interceptions that didn't count, which is not true.
That's not a stat. See, and the thing that irritates me is that every time Mahomes does something, they don't want to give him the credit. But every time someone beneath him can do just as much, if that, they're like, "Oh, he did this, he did that." I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like they want to make up stats. Like, well, obviously, if a guy quarterback throws an interception and it goes off the receiver's hands, it's his fault. But now you want to say it's now you want to say it's not his fault. It just shows a hypocrisy there
Yeah.
is in the NFL.
Yeah. It's getting I don't know how much longer PFF is going to be able to continue on with that guy and his adjusted stats and the
Well,
things that
I
he
think
comes
their
up
whole
with.
company in general is kind of like their algorithm makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually. Somebody told me they don't
Someone needs to
actually
just
use
build a
one.
whole new algorithm at this point.
All they got to do is call Cynthia Freeland. She'd loan them theirs. I mean,
Well, I mean, someone needs to just build one from scratch and
yeah,
like take everything into an account because we see things that are taken into account and it's like, look, you're obviously not watching the football game. The computer's not watching the football game. It's just going off of what they see. I mean,
yeah,
what's being inputted into the game. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. I don't know, man. There's so much bias with them. I don't even pay attention to what they say anymore
mhm.
because it's. I mean, when they put him ninth behind um, Geno Smith, I was like, okay, these
Yeah,
guys
like
are.
this just makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah. These guys are. puffing the magic dragon or doing something when they're putting these things on. Because
Well, it's like it just shows that I understand the points of PFF, but it's like you have to have people when you're putting those inputs in. You have to have a comment. You have to have something to where the computer understands the importance of the game, the plays that were made. Because we see this happens a lot with Chiefs players. They make some important plays, but they're like, oh, they only get this grade. I'm like, why are they only getting this grade? Obviously, you're not
exactly.
seeing the relevance of what they've done. So I don't know. That's
Yeah.
my biggest frustration with PFF as a whole.
Yeah, and those guys, I mean, they can be biased, which they are. I mean, a lot of times they, they'll get an analytic, and it may
Hmm.
bring Mahomes up number one, but because of their bias, they'll put him at
Hmm.
ninth.
And like you said,
Um,
everyone's a fan of somebody.
exactly. So it's kind of is what it is. I mean, I guess if PFF was made up of ex-football players, you know, or former football players, retired
Hmm.
football players, NFL players, I should say, or even some college guys that were good, then that'd be a different story. But you got a
Hmm.
bunch of guys that probably never even played tennis, and they're out there, they play ping pong and chess, and they're out there trying to grade NFL players and never step foot on a field. So
Hmm.
it's a little frustrating, but is what it is.
Hmm.
Nobody really pays attention to them anymore, and that they're making it worse on themselves because as a business, they're starting to decline because of that. And when you got outlets that are putting out polls to specifically, uh, rival against what you've put out, similar to like what they did with Mahomes, that kind of
Hmm.
tells you where you're going to end up and where you're going to lie at the end of the day, which is not trusted. And they're right now they're not a trusted source for anything because
Hmm.
there's too much bias going on. I mean, it's just all it is. But
Yeah.
uh, Russell Wilson looks terrible.
Does not look good at all. I'm kind of like, wow, he could be playing a little bit better.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
yeah,
It's really weird to see him struggle to that degree because he was like popped up, like they were saying, who's supposed to be all great, this and that. I'm like, he looks worse than what he did in Seattle during those worst years. And it shows he
yeah,
needs a defense. He
yeah,
needs some weapons. If you don't have that, you're not gonna do well.
yeah,
And the Broncos for years, Broncos were like, all we need is a quarterback. All we need is a quarterback. Well, okay, yeah, you have a quarterback, but look what is you have one now. You haven't really done anything.
yeah.
So
I mean,
it's just one of
it's
those things. So I
I
mean,
just
it's
keep
just
going back to the I do everything three times. Well, I mean,
well, it's not working. Obviously, he worked on tripping over his feet 3 times tonight.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
I
mean, I
don't.
wish him all the best, but it's just kind of like at this point, like the some of the stuff I have to hear from Broncos fans is like, you guys do not know what you're talking about.
No, no,
So,
I'm sure they're happy with the win, and that's great. But the win was not really indicative of the play. Um,
hmm.
that went on a lot. Today the win wasn't indicative of the plays that happened with the
Hmm.
Bucs. It happened with a lot of teams, but
Hmm.
if it wasn't for the Bucs defense, they wouldn't have won that game. And Winston
Hmm.
throwing errant balls just to throw errant
Just
balls.
everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, but it it's not an eye sport, and everybody wants to,
It's
you
a
know,
team.
yeah,
One person messes up, the whole team loses. That's
yeah,
how it works.
yeah. And Brady caused his like today. Okay, is a great example. Exactly what you brought up. Brady caused his best wide receiver to get ejected. Then he's throwing iPads. Then, because of his defense and Jameis Winston playing as badly as he did in the later half of that game, they were able to come back and win. But Brady had
Hmm.
one touchdown today.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what his yardage was, but it was
It was
horrid.
like right at 200. Wasn't
Yeah.
nothing special.
No, which is average for Brady. I mean, when you really look at it, that's been his career. I mean, he's had a few really good, strong games where he threw 400 yards, but it wasn't his career stats have always been under 300 yards, where Mahomes' stats are always over 300 yards. For the entirety of Mahomes' career, his average is over 300 yards a game. So,
Hmm.
last week he had one of his worst games at 235 yards and two touchdowns.
Mm.
So, I think the only other game that was even close to that was Arizona in 19 when, or was it 18 or 19, when his father-in-law collapsed at the stadium and they told him, and he
Hmm.
didn't play real well. Um, but then he had a few more yards. I think he had 256 in that game.
Hmm.
But
I remember that.
yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy to think of how things have changed. Did you see what Tua's total yardage was?
Let me check.
I don't know what it was. I kind of wanted to compare that a little bit because it does make a difference in a lot of ways.
469.
So that's pretty strong. I
That's
mean,
not bad.
I wonder how much of that was yards after the catch.
Probably a couple hundred, about 200, 300, because I
Yeah.
did see that Hill had 2 long touchdowns. Waddle had 1 long touchdown, and Waddle and Hill together had like 300, over 300 something yards
Well,
by
there you go
himself.
then.
Gesicki had like 50 or 60 yards, and then he sprinkled the ball around the other guys.
Yeah. So, well, that kind of gives you an idea. Um, if they continue to play that style of ball, it's going to
Hmm
be rough on them going towards the stronger teams because they're going to figure them out pretty quick. And the two
hmm
guys that they go to the most are going to be covered up. And
No, I agree.
they did it with us with Tyreek, and they're going to do it to them. So, uh, just kind of is what it is. Something really quick, kind of off the mark a little bit, but if you notice, Zach Ertz hasn't played very well.
Yeah, he's been struggling. Now he did pretty decent today. I did notice, but he hasn't been the best as of late. I've noticed. I mean, I know it's beginning of the season, but I think he's dealing with an injury.
Is he
They
dealing with
said.
an injury? I couldn't
I
remember.
think so. I'm not 100. I thought I heard something in the broadcast, but I'm not sure 100%.
Yeah, I really liked him. I always thought he was a good player, and he was to me he's right up there,
Hmm
in top five. Really probably the third if you really consider it all, you know, as a tight end as tight ends in a whole, I should say. I
hmm
would say he's probably what third. I mean, he's more consistent, less injuries prone than Kittle. Um, still it's Kelsey, it's Mark Andrews, and then I would put Zach Ertz right there, or I would have.
hmm
Other than this year, he just hasn't really looked his
Yeah,
normal self. So
I think he was hurt. I think they say he was dealing with something. He didn't do bad this last game. I think it's just as the year goes on, he's gonna get better and better. And the way if Arizona's look like they're rolling, I think they might go on a tear.
I hope they do. I
Hmm
mean, it's this is the year that Murray really has to prove himself.
hmm
He's got his contract, he's got everything he needs, he's got the weapons. He just needs to go out there and execute now.
hmm
Hollywood Brown dropped one on him today that should
He
have
did.
would have been an easy catch, but that's Hollywood Brown kind of mo as well.
hmm
He takes his eye off the ball before he makes the catch. So um, he had those struggles with the Ravens too.
hmm
So I think he's trying too hard to be his cousin.
Well, I will say I think he had some drops, but I will say he did have some nice plays during the game. But they got to figure that out because teams are going to start going after him, and
Yeah.
they're going to have to figure it out because D Hop's not going to be back for another 4 games. So
Yep. Yep. Now when he gets back, whew,
they're
that
going to
kid
be a
that
nasty team. They're going. That's what I'm saying. They might be able to make a run this season,
yeah,
depending on how everything goes after this game. They're on cloud 9, but Murray really showed I can win these games when
yeah,
necessary. So,
yep.
and that's important because we've seen teams in the past have that, and then they just can't do it.
I agree.
So.
Watching that defense of um of theirs today was kind of surprising. They had one stunt they ran. It was kind of cool. They had two guys in the A gap. They had a defensive end that was completely on his own out there and just ripped up. I mean, he was so quick off the ball. And I saw that twice today. I saw it once in that game, and I saw it
hmm
again with the Saints and Cam Jordan.
Mm,
Um, he did the same thing. They had a double, like the A gaps was filled, and all of a sudden, around the corner, here comes Cam. Just out of nowhere. So
hmm
it's interesting to see how I like watching how other defenses line up and
hmm
how they package themselves for different teams. And I kind of when I look at some of the stuff that we have done in the past, and maybe even a little bit this year, it seems that we don't really work up those type of schemes per the team or the opponents that we're going against. And that's a little bit
mm.
frustrating sometimes when I see
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
So I don't know about you, but I just I don't know, I'm kind of a nerd like that, and I kind of watch
No,
all the
hey,
other
it's
games.
good to see what other teams do because you learn different schemes. You understand the game better as a whole.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to think that they can, run that. At one point, who was it? Somebody had four linebackers out there today. Um, I think it might have been the Saints. They had four linebackers on the field, and it left their defensive end wide open to just
Hmm.
bull rush. So that's something that we really need to. I know we were going to run a lot of three linebacker sets this year, which I think they should do.
Hmm.
Um, but it wouldn't hurt to change the packages up a little bit sometimes and throw people off. And
No,
that's
that's
something,
fair.
it's just I just see it with other teams and I think, man, why can't we do that kind of stuff? But every defensive coordinator is different, I guess. Um, they have different mindsets, but when I see it so successful with other teams and not more than just one, then I think, why aren't we trying this? But kind of is what it is. But anyway, everybody's getting some rest. I heard Bucker's progressing pretty well.
That's
Um,
good.
he may, and we got to give Amendola credit. He did
Hmm.
a good job,
Stepped up.
stepped up. Um, I think everybody played a pretty good part during our game, and where there's a little sloppiness, well, yeah, but that's to be expected with
Hmm.
a brand new football team, basically, for the most
Exactly.
part. They still are 2-0, and that came from both, really all three phases of the ball. It wasn't just one side or the other, similar to how the Bucs were today. It was basically one sided. It was it was because of all three phases of the ball playing in continuity.
Hmm.
So as much as they could anyway, for being new guys, rookies, first year guys with the team, learning the system on both sides, and then learning, Dave Taub is the best special teams coach in football.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily one of the
So
best ones.
yeah. So there's a lot to learn when it comes to our team, and everybody has to realize that. We put out, when you put out on our page, what did everybody think of the game? You've seen a lot of different mixed
Hmm.
answers, sloppy. We could have done this better. We could have done that better. Well, yeah, I mean that's the case with every football team, but not every football team is 2-0 right now.
Yeah.
So
And that's a great point.
this kind of is what it is. We got to think about it from the perspective that we're not. This is new to a lot of guys, and they're trying their best to gel, and I think they're doing a pretty good job of it. Um, to play a Chargers team and play as well as we did, even though it may have looked sloppy to you,
Hmm.
it probably wasn't as sloppy as you think it was. I'll just put it that way, given the situation that everybody's in. So, and the play calling in the first half didn't help much, but
Oh,
that was
yeah.
terrible.
You are not wrong there.
That was just terrible play calling. Somebody that surprised me was CEH.
Mm.
I've been on him and on him and on him.
Hmm.
Um, but he surprised me in that game. He really did. He played well. So um, I still think Pacheco has more vision, and I think he's a little bit better in certain situations. And I think they may just be waiting right now to see if Clyde gets hurt.
And that's possible. The way Clyde was playing, I was like, wow, he's really stepping up.
Yeah,
They're finally using him the way he was used at LSU.
yeah,
And that's important for his development.
it
And
is.
because of that, he looked like he looked like a completely different player out there.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what they needed to do. I mean, he has the talent. There's a lot of vision issues he has. He
I
looked
say, sorry, go, what were you saying?
I was just say he looked down a lot last year. I noticed he was looking at his feet when he was, running the ball, like he was just trying to get a couple of yards here, a couple of yards there, try to advance. But that's really not what you need to do.
Hmm.
You need to scan the field, read the defense, and go, and keep
Hmm.
your head up while you're running.
Exactly.
It seems like that's what he's doing now.
And I think he might have a career year. I think he might.
Yeah, he probably will, but given the fact he's got Pacheco on his butt and it's a contract year,
Yeah,
so that
that is true.
that's probably going to
I
help
think we're
him.
finally seeing what he's doing is what we expect him to do all along.
Exactly, exactly. Now, would I resign him? Yeah. Would I resign him for market value? Oh hell no.
No, I think they could work out a deal.
Yeah, They would have to.
I felt they could work out a deal.
Yeah. They would
They're
almost have
starting to
to.
realize what he can do and
Yeah.
how he can help this team.
Yeah.
So
I think that there might be a change next year for the good in the running back room. We'll just have to see how the rest of this year plays out and if things continue on the same trajectory that they are on. But there might be a change coming into the running back room that'll make most of Chiefs Kingdom happy for the most part. We'll see how that flies out, but we just have to see.
Oh yeah, man, it'll work out.
It
I'm ready
always
for
does.
it.
I'm ready for it too. We are in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
We did have somebody, I'm not going to mention his name, that went to Len Dawson's funeral, and he was up with some execs and some other people during the game, and he heard the same thing that I had heard during the game about the first half calls, and something that he was told is that it's not going to last very long.
Well,
so
they don't want to repeat it last year. If they want to repeat it last year, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, oh, by the way, our giveaway happened today.
Yep.
Congratulations. Let me look at his name again because I cannot remember. Let's see here. Let me see.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
I cannot find it. It's really weird.
Let me look.
Oh, Carter.
Oh,
Carter Haley. He won the McCall Hardman jersey. So his DM to us, it will come. Will it come in a plaque or just a box? And what was the estimated time? When he wanted to know.
Isn't
yeah, it doesn't come in
Total Sports Kansas City handling that?
Yeah, they ship them out for us. So,
she'll get that soon. Then
yeah,
they do a pretty good job.
Well, they do everything priority, like it's like next day stuff. So,
yeah.
Let me answer him. Okay, so anyway, he's excited. He's very happy he won. We do have another giveaway starting next week. Not sure what it's going to be yet. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I think he won the Alex Smith jersey is what he won. I said McCall Hardman, but I apologize. It was the Alex Smith jersey.
Oh, it's okay, man.
Yeah. So we have another one coming out next week. And then Thiz is going to be doing a giveaway on the 100-yard dash pretty soon. Wanted to let everybody know that. That way you make sure you listen to his show because he is going to be giving something away. And I'm sure everybody will want it. We actually gave one away last year. I'm not going to mention what it is, but we gave one of them away last year we gave something away every week for 17 weeks last year. And he's going to get, he's got something that we gave away last year that he's going to give away. And it's a pretty awesome thing to have. So start listening to the 100-yard dash and check it out because Thiz has a lot of knowledge when it comes to this game. And he's all football. So you guys will like what you have to hear. Also, special guest is coming on. I am not going to reveal who it is. I'm just going to say that he is a former Hall of Fame football player for the Chiefs. Spent 11 years, I believe, with us. Great guy. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He will be on October 13th, and he's going to talk about some things with us and go over what he thinks of the team now versus, his time with the team and what he's up to now. So it'll be really fun to listen to and get his perspective on everything. So with that being said, you got anything else?
No, man, I think we're good.
All right. Well, we will talk to you guys on Tuesday. We'll see how tonight and tomorrow night's game ends up, and we will talk to you on Tuesday. If there's any developments, we will definitely put them out on Twitter. And we'll go from there. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.
See you next time, Chiefs Kingdom.